Hi there everyone and welcome back to the weekly market analysis. Looking at the markets for the week ahead, we're going to look and analyse the three markets that we normally look at, which is Bitcoin, then we're going to look at the S&P 500, and then we will also look at DXY, which is the dollar basket, which will give us a good inclination about how the FX markets are going to be looking, especially those US dollar denominated pairs. So starting with Bitcoin, as always, you can see we're just continuing to range bound in between this sort of 29,600 to 31,420 zone, which is this zone here, and then also this 24,200 to 25,600 zone. You can see we've been talking about this minor zone here in the middle of that range at sort of 27,720 to 28,515, and you can see we have reacted from that zone. We've held that zone as resistance so far this week. This is still very much corrective though, and if we do start seeing acceptance above this zone, then we will move back into this sort of resistance area up here, the 29,600 to 31,420. If, however, we actually see some acceptance, if we use this as resistance and we start seeing some price action and some momentum below this sort of level here, which is like last week's lows, then we could be heading back down towards the support zone at 24,200, 25,600. So that's Bitcoin. That's what we can look for the week ahead on Bitcoin. Now let's go and take a look at the S&P. Okay, so S&P has continued to show some weakness, as you can see here. The market sort of held this, so we moved below this action, and then it held it on the retest. So 42.90 to 43.40 has sort of held as a bit of resistance this week. And we've come down, and I've just adjusted this zone up slightly to 41.60 to 42.15. We're just reacting from there, and we'll have to wait and see now what happens if we do retest this zone again, whether we get some really strong momentum and come back into the range and start making an attempt to hit the resistance of 45.60 to 46.10 again, or if we hold it. And then I would expect we are in this sort of downward trend. So if we do come up and hold this as resistance, I then wouldn't really be looking to buy this support zone. I'd be wanting it to get some acceptance below here. We could look to buy from there, get some form of reaction from this zone here, or equally look for the breakdown and then retest this zone to get short. Longer term picture, this is not going to happen. I'd be very surprised if it happens this week, but this support zone down here, 37.80 to 38.30, that will be really key. If this turns into some sort of more significant downward trend, if we do get to see that sort of area, which I would imagine would take certainly a few weeks to be seen, unless something significant happens in the market, some news related movement, then that will be a key support area in the market. So yeah, if we want to see for more upside, we want to see some real acceptance back above this 42.90 to 43.40 zone. If we hold it as resistance, then we really want to be looking or waiting here for the 44,000 area to 4,060 before we look to buy again. Or equally, we can look to use these zones as shorting opportunities on retests of them. So that's the S&P for the equity markets. Now let's go and take a look at the DXY and the dollar basket. No real change here on the dollar basket or the DXY for last week. You can see that we have retested it on the Friday and we've held above it. We reacted from it. We're coming back to retest this 104.70 to 105.90 zone. So, but we can still fully expect that all the time we're seeing. You can see that we're holding this moving average, so that until we see some sort of break of that pattern and some acceptance back below this zone, we can certainly view this zone as support and potentially move back up into this next zone of resistance, which is 108.10 to 109.30. Only if we saw some really key news event or movement back below this zone would we then look to potentially change our bias. There's not a huge amount of news out this week. We've got some stuff, some US dollar stuff on Wednesday and Thursday, and it is a bank holiday in the US on Monday. So it's likely to be a very quiet start to the week, with a few bits of news coming in sort of like mid to late part of the week, which may move the markets. But with that sort of news week, I would very much expect that unless it's something material, then this probably would just chop around and be very quiet, quite quiet, and I would look to use this zone as support. So that's the market analysis for this week. Have a great week trading. Any questions, please do fire over. I hope you found this useful, and I'll speak to you again next week. Cheers.